Y'all, I am so excited to be back with another speed build today. And I was so excited to get into this that I couldn't even be asked to fix my grimy self and do a face cam. So hopefully it's okay that it's just voiceover today. Let me know though, give me some feedback, please, if face cam is really important to you, or does it make it more entertaining when you're watching videos? I'm just curious about this. The more I film and make videos, I want to know what people like to see. I don't really mind, especially for a speed build. It was fun to do the face cam with my color palette challenge and everything, but today, I just can't be asked. Anywho, getting into this build right now, starting out with the facade. This build is totally, completely inspired by this article that I found in the archives of the EA website. So way back in the day, 2014, or even before that, this article is from 2015 and it's talking about The Sims 15-year anniversary, and it's an interview with Aaron Houts, who was one of the build mode designers. And he's talking about just early concept ideas for build mode in The Sims 4, which I always just think is really interesting. Game development and programming a game, especially a game sandbox creative types like The Sims 4 and other simulation games, I'm just very fascinated by. It just seems so impossible. It was also really interesting in this article because included with it were these pictures that I actually originally saw on Pinterest, but these were these pictures of original concept or early concept art for The Sims 4, what build mode could look like when they were first designing the game. And it's so interesting because obviously the earlier iterations of the game I feel are so different. Not that I've ever played them because I'm a noob, I'm a freak. But The Sims 2 and The Sims 3, obviously build mode is just so different from what I've seen in videos and Let's Plays and stuff on YouTube. It's just completely different style. I think Sims 4, and I think a lot of people would agree, is so unique, especially when it comes to build mode. I think it's so much easier from what I've seen and from what people have said. Just very interesting reading about and seeing how far build mode has come in the Sims franchise. I saw this picture in the article, one of them, that kind of shows the early concept art for what I would say is a pretty decent sized family home, kind of French provincial style, which is what I'm doing here, trying to replicate the early concept art because I was what a cool idea for a build to try to recreate this drawing basically of the early concept art in the early stages of developing the game, what these developers and designers thought The Sims 4 could or should look like once they got going and got building it or creating it. I love the mansard roofing on these more French provincial homes. I think it was their idea thinking about I imagine they were thinking about Willow Creek, the New Orleans inspired world that ships with the Sims 4 base game, and what kind of homes, what style of homes could fit into that world. I feel this really classic style, this classic, I guess, yeah, I'll say French style, is really not something I ever build in The Sims, so it was really inspiring to see this picture and be 11 years later, can I build a house in The Sims 4 that looks very similar, or hopefully a dang near recreation of what they thought The Sims 4 build mode could create, something like this. So I really tried to go for the color schemes and stuff that I saw in the picture from the article. And even here, I'm trying to recreate the dormers that they had, the dormer windows on this upper story. But it definitely was difficult because, and I was giving myself a hard time with this, but then I was wait, chill. It doesn't have to be an exact replica of the computer drawing that I saw on the internet, because this was just the early concept art. Like, a lot of the things that they imagined for The Sims are just not in the game, like the scaling, which is like a huge example of like what I struggled with creating this build, because at first I was like, I really want it to look exactly like the picture. You know, I'm such a perfectionist randomly with those things. Obviously, you know me, I'm getting randomly really stressed out building this because I'm like, it doesn't look exactly like the picture. I just had to take a breath and remind myself that of course it's not going to look exactly like the picture, because that was what they were imagining for the game before it even came out. Like, the scaling system of build mode, and build mode itself just didn't even exist yet. These were just like, I don't want to say just, because I feel like that's diminishing all of their like creativity and hard work. Just a lot of things have changed and even like been added to the base game, like different build features, and obviously a lot of buy mode items even in the base game, like that they've added to the base game. And you'll see when we get into the interiors specifically or especially, but also on the exterior, you can see that I use the new 25th anniversary base game update front door, which was really fun. I had a ton of fun using a lot of the newer items that came with the new base game update. I was also just really excited to use those items. And this build is all base game. I don't know why, but y'all know I go back and forth with being like, okay, base game is so boring, like I need all my packs that I have. I don't have all the packs, like I can't afford that right now, but I do have a lot of the packs. And there was a time on my old computer I couldn't even like have installed all of the packs that I did own on my computer. Like, it just didn't work with the amount of storage that I had in that computer, and I haven't installed all of my packs on this computer. I haven't tried doing that, so maybe I'll try that. But right now, like, y'all, I don't know what it is, but the base game really is the only thing that I can stomach right now in my game. I have been playing a little bit with Babs Lamore. If you're familiar with The Sims 4, she is one of the pre-mades that was really featured in the early promotional content for The Sims 4 when it first came out. And so I'm playing with her and Ollie Purdue, her like love interest right now. I've been playing with her and Ollie, and I decided that this house, like this build that I'm doing right now, is in my imagination, and maybe I'll make her parents later, but this is Babs's childhood home, so her parents' home. And you can see right now in the kitchen, I used the new base game kitchen counter set, and I was just so like, I sighed the biggest sigh of relief when we got those counters, because I had been so tired working with the other base game counters. It was just time for a refresh. So thank you, EA. Thank you for that gift to the game, as well as like the other build and buy items that we got with the new update. You'll see I used the like interior door that came in the update, and yeah, just a lot of the new items, and I'll try to point them out as we go along. But I want to real quick go back to what I was saying about recreating the early concept art. I needed to make peace with my perfectionist self that it just wasn't going to look what they imagined the game was going to look like in their drawings, because once the game had been like fully realized, obviously things changed. They had to be flexible with their earlier ideas and concepts, and so I had to be flexible and give grace to myself. It's a part of life, just granting grace and moving on when things don't work out and don't look exactly like you imagine them to. So I did have some fun just kind of trying to see like what works with the actual scaling of the actual game now versus the early concept art. So it isn't identical, but I think it's a great representation of what you can do with the game now versus like what they imagined or wanted you to be able to do in the game when they were developing it. This is a base game only house, and I think it really helps me like with my tendencies toward overstimulation and stuff, just having too many choices in the game. It kind of has really helped me just reduce stress for some weird reason, just disabling all of my packs right now, bringing it back to the basics, the very, very basics, if you will, if I may. I did definitely find myself getting very frustrated, especially just finding objects even in the base game that match each other. And I know a lot of other simmers will say that too. It's just like, how did they think we were going to be able to make this work? So I was definitely getting a bit frustrated. And if it looks like I am furnishing this build very quickly, is because, well, let me tell you, I'll just be honest with you, there was a lot of pre-planning involved. I messed around with the furnishing, the floor plan, even a bit of the exterior details, just a lot in my own time off cam, because y'all, this video would have been like 5 hours even sped up, and you would just see so many instances of me just struggling to make choices, struggling to make decisions, and struggling to make the base game work for me. But I think this like cream beige color scheme and this kind of wonky floor plan, but I think it works. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you would have done differently. Maybe that can help me in the future. I think this like cream, white, light brown, dark brown color scheme worked for this base game only house. I loved being able to use that new fireplace that you can see in the corner there. I think it is so cute. I love how simple it is too. I think when the base game first came out, like y'all know, if you play The Sims, if you build in The Sims, so many of those items, even like those lamps there, they're just so, like the nicer items in the game were just so like hyper stylized to be like very fancy. And I think that was the case with the other fireplaces in the base game when the game was first released. So it's so nice to just have like some actual basic, like nice, clean looking items in the game with those improved textures that have just, improved since 2014. And it's so nice to have these like newer basic items that aren't what they thought was basic, or maybe what they thought was like luxurious or fancy in 2014, 2013 when they were making the game. In my opinion, that's just my opinion, when I'm building houses, even like this bathroom here, I'm like, that sink is way too fancy for its own good, but like, whatever. It's classic. It's classic. I did think that like also Babs's parents would have like a nicer house, like, you know, upper middle class type beat. Here I am also furnishing a little ensuite for Babs, obviously adjoined to her bedroom. I tried to keep this color scheme with the entire house. Even like since my color palette challenge video, I realized like that it's so nice to have a framework of what colors you're going to use in a house as you're going along and planning like how you're going to furnish it, or it just helps me for the very least. I can't speak for anyone else, but it just really helped me, especially working with just the base game items, trying to find what matches, or even just at the very least what is going to be cohesive altogether. And I do think like in real life, obviously, like I'm thinking about my parents' house, I'm thinking about other houses that I've lived in or friends' houses, etc. Obviously those houses, unless they're very, very bougie, what have you, they're not all like matchy, like they don't use like a color scheme or a color palette that is used like in the entire house, and every room kind of goes together. And that's not necessarily the case here, but it's just nice, especially when you're looking at like a top-down view, for example. Like, you know, if you press T when you're using build mode in The Sims, it's just nice to have everything kind of blend, again, just sort of go together. It's just cohesive. That's something that lately, I guess, in my build styling, I just really appreciate that. It's nice. I don't know, it scratches a part of my brain. I'm like, yes, this makes sense. This looks okay. So yeah, I really like Babs's room. I thought it was kind of like a weird shape or a weird size. I kind of thought that for a lot of the rooms upstairs. I was just like, okay, how am I going to make this work? I don't know really anything about feng shui or anything. Maybe they do. Like I said, upper middle class, maybe they're really into that like taste in design and everything, but... And also like with their kind of beige brown color scheme, I was like, I think that kind of lends itself to a cool storyline about like maybe Babs's parents are kind of boring or like really care about appearances and everything going together. But Babs, you can see in her bedroom, she's more pink, she's more fun, and probably a lot more creative and outgoing than her parents are. And in my gameplay right now, she is living in the Streamlet single lot in Willow Creek and Foundry Cove. I love the house that I built for her. I actually also built that using a picture of the early concept art, like shotgun houses that I saw on the Sims article, and something about that just has been really inspiring to me, just seeing how the game developers thought like you could make this game work for you. And I'm like, you know what? I might be able to make that work for me in my game. So yeah, when I've been kind of stuck with like building ideas, I just kind of look up like how do other, like even other creators or like simmers, like real simmers, how do they make the base game work for them? Like what kind of color schemes do they do? What sort of build styles like lend themselves well to like the items that we have in the base game? And as you can see, yeah, I just needed to use that fireplace again and again and again. And I love I forget what it's called, but the bricks underneath it. I think that is such a smart addition to the game. I really like this closet that I added for Babs's parents. I think it's difficult for me furnishing upstairs or like second stories of builds when I have too much space and I don't necessarily want a ton of bedrooms. So I think just like sneaking in a closet sometimes. Also, I really like, this is kind of Carrie Bradshaw inspired, but also like I'm sure a ton of other houses, but just like the closet going into the ensuite bathroom, I think it looks very nice. I love like the flow of that. So yeah, I think also just a smart way to make use of those like fake closet, like clothing display clutter items that came with the base game. It's like, all right, you want me to make a closet then, I guess, if you're giving me these items in the game. So that's why I use those. And yeah, mostly to make use of the extra space without having to make like guest bedrooms or to make sense of like this weird kind of interior space for the floor plan. I really struggled, y'all, making this floor plan, but I think eventually it worked out in the end. But again, if you would have done anything differently, please let me know. This was definitely one of those builds where, I mean, like most of my other builds, where I really only care most of the time, this is so bad maybe, but like what it looks like from the outside. When it came to furnishing, I was kind of like, this is gonna sound bad, but like it's really where I come from a lot of the time. I just wanted to get it over with. Like I even thought about just maybe doing like a shell, you know, just doing the exterior and maybe like figuring out a floor plan and painting the walls. So like if I uploaded it to the gallery and y'all were like, okay, I'm gonna furnish this for myself, you could kind of figure out where I intended for things to go without actually having to do the work myself because I'm so lazy. I definitely want to improve my furnishing though, so that's why I was like, okay, suck it up, Paige, and just like do the dang thing. Figure out how you can, again, make that, this is the theme, y'all, making the base game work for me. How can I do it? How can I use items that maybe I haven't used before in the base game? Just like really getting my money's worth here. And I also wanted to do a build like this because I think about like my friends or some of my family members who they're like, oh my gosh, like you make the Sims look so fun. Like I think like only one friend has ever said that, but like for the storyline, let's just go with it. But some of my friends are like, The Sims like looks like such a cozy game. I want to play it, but like I obviously like can't get all the packs and everything. So if you just had the base game and you were just, you know, loading into The Sims right now, you could place this house that I built and put it in your Optimus Outlook lot in Newcrest where I built this, and you could have like a pretty playable house in The Sims while you're like learning all the game's features. I feel like there are a lot of activities in this house which I really like. I like that I included a chess table because y'all know for some reason in The Sims 4, like I feel like every career to advance you need to have a really high logic skill, and that's like the only way I'm pretty sure to gain logic skills, like playing chess for some reason, and then like maybe reading logic books. Correct me if I'm wrong, like if there are other ways to improve your logic skill. I feel like Goose will call me out on that. But really important to me to have a chess table, and I really wanted to include this pool. Sorry, I did cut the footage out where I was making this backyard, but I think this backyard is so cute. And like, yeah, for this build, I didn't want it to be overly cluttered, overly detailed, but I wanted it to be intentionally like thought out and minimal. Like it's not overly cluttered, but it is like there's a reason, like it just makes sense where everything is placed. Like it's minimal landscaping, but it makes sense, and it's not too much, it's not overstimulating. Like these rows of hydrangeas right here, it's just very simple and very clean looking. Even though it's not like very detailed and very like crazy creative, it just, It just looks nice. It's nice, it's pleasing to the eye. That was the goal here. So yeah, I'm really proud of like this house, especially the outside. Y'all know always the exterior. I think I really made it work with like these wraparound porches, and the back porch was actually inspired by the shell of the house next door to this one. I was like, ooh, I kind of like how like the upstairs sort of hangs over, and then there's just like more space for the porch back there. They got a grill. They got a pool. Pools didn't even come with The Sims when it originally launched, so I really wanted to add that. And yeah, I'm impressed with like how much you can do with just the base game. With like my gameplay, like with Babs and Ollie, I'm just trying to discover, like kind of rediscover the base game and everything that you can do with it. Definitely a lot of the packs are really great and useful for improving gameplay and making The Sims more interesting and less boring to play with, and I'm definitely hitting some walls here and there with the gameplay, just like getting bored and stuff, but I am really proud of how, like, I don't know, just detailed I was able to make this house. All right, now we are here in game looking at Babs's childhood home here at Optimus Outlook in Willow Creek, Newcrest. But I just moved in this townie Kason here. He is at work, but that is fine. We will creep up on into his house and give y'all a little tour. I think this house looks so good from the outside. Y'all know how randomly important that is for me. I love that I was able to include so many trees too, because this is a 40 by 30 lot, and go me, because I never build on 40 by 30 lots. I'm like, that is too much space for me. But you walk up here onto this lovely porch area, and y'all know I needed a vestibule area up in here. It's my thing lately. Love this new exterior front door, and this is only 50 simoleons, and it comes in really cute swatches. So how cool is that? Here we have this formal sitting area here, and I even just included this tea set here. I just think, like, you know, this is the first room that the family wants you to see. It's the nicer one. It's got this nice I think business career unlock bookshelf here. I like the swatch on that. And then nice little archway when you walk in, and this is like the real family room where you've got the TV, you've got that nice potted plant that I used. Here is that gorgeous fireplace, and I love the lighting coming in through the windows here. I did go into build mode and check. This is the fireplace surround. It looks very nice with the mat going onto these new sliding doors, and these are also just 50 simoleons. Shout outs. I also really like this ottoman area with this mirror, and yeah, you can kind of see the reflection of the nicer seating area. And then here is the kitchen, and my favorite part of the kitchen, I definitely gotta say, is this picture window. This is new with the base game update. Look at this gorgeous view into the trees and mountains and rocky area here in Newcrest. I think that looks so nice. Like, look at this family's view. Such a nice lot to build a house. And now we've got like some great appliances here. New counters, new cabinets, looks so nice. They even got a dishwasher because rich. I liked using these wall decorations for the dining and like kitchen area. I feel like I never can afford to like include items like that. That's another thing. It was so fun to build this house and not have a budget and just like give them a bar, because why not? I really like the vibes of this kitchen. And using that plant again because obvi. And bathroom is nothing special, of course. Here is the dining room. I liked using these chairs over here. Like, you can imagine if they have some guests that come over, and you can add these chairs, like the family can add these chairs, pull them up here. They've got a nice little hutch, and yeah, gorgeous windows, gorgeous, gorgeous things, as Aiden would say, Devin Bumpkin. But yeah, that is the downstairs, and you can kind of get a feel for the entire downstairs looking at this top-down view, which I really like. Then you come on up. This is the landing area. I really challenged myself to not use the subtle saucer lights in every room. I don't even think I use them in any room, but I wanted the lighting to be like what kind of lighting you would actually find realistically in these rooms. So I didn't want to use that really modern subtle saucer lighting. I like this, a creator made this item for the game in collaboration with The Sims, which is so nice. Nice console table here with this mirror, kind of older, like a blend of newer and more classic styles. I really like that. You come on into the parents' bedroom. This at first was like my least favorite room, and now I'm kind of warming up to it, probably because it has this fireplace here. It's so cute. But this bed was also patched into the game, which I like. I sized down this painting above the bed, and yeah, pretty basic. Such a huge bedroom, which I was kind of like, but I think I made it work. They even have this nice little balcony area to walk out onto. What is this light doing here? I am so sorry about that. Here is their closet, and then going into their bathroom with a tub and shower. Rich. And they've got a robe, just all the necessities, really. Totally spoiled them in here. And now we can go to Babs's room. I love all the personality in her room, and you can kind of see like she grew up in this house, so I wanted it to be kind of childish. I mean, she's got a laptop because y'all know. Spoiled, but also just very like juvenile vibes in here. She's got a mirror because she loves to dress up, but like a little nightlight I sized down, little princess decals, and then you go into her bathroom, which is pretty much the same as all the other bathrooms. And then I was thinking about doing another bedroom in here, or like maybe making a giant closet for Babs, but I decided to actually make this into like her dad's office. I never make offices in The Sims. I feel like, again, I never have room. I'm never building on big enough lots to include something like this. I think this is such a nice office with the chess table, with the same bookcase. As you can see, I definitely repeated a lot of the items, but honestly, shameless at this point because base game. You already know it's just base game. Base game vibes. Base game vibes is repeating the same items over and over again. But I really like this desk area. It really has everything you need for this office. I gotta get her a fish, by the way. But later, something like that. But yeah, so top-down view of the upstairs. I do really feel like I made this work. Again, I love how clean it looks. It's just so simple but effective. That's all that matters. Little garden area. Again, love all the trees, love the pool. They have little sun loungers here and an outdoor dining area, hydrangeas and a willow tree because we have so much room. I love that I was able to include that, and I just think this is a really nice family home. And to think that it was completely inspired by the early concept art, I think that is so cool. So very proud of myself for this one, and I hope y'all enjoy it too. If you want to download it, it is on the gallery already as Babs's childhood home. On page G88 is my gallery ID, or my EA ID. So please check it out if you want to download it. And yeah, let me know what you would like to see next. I really don't have any ideas. I'll definitely, get some going with these creative juices soon, I hope. But please let me know if you have any suggestions. Any tips and feedback are always appreciated. And I will see y'all next time. Thanks for watching.